The Harvest Show, where faith makes a world of difference.
Well, welcome to today's edition of The Harvest Show. Author Gerald Duran returns to the show today with more on his fascinating journey from poverty to CEO of faith-based business ventures. And did President Donald Trump, did he make a positive impression in Jerusalem and Israel? We're going to find out from Brian Bush as he gives us a recap and a review of the president's visit to Israel. Good to have you with us on today's program, and a couple of precedent-setting things by the president. First sitting president to go to the U.S. president to go to the Western Wall. And, President Trump said it was very moving for him to do that. And also, what I had not realized prior was that he also went to Yad Vashem, and the first sitting president to visit Yad Vashem and lay a wreath there in remembrance of the Holocaust while in office.
And you know, Stephan, as we think about him doing those things, we can even remember doing those things, you know, during our visit to the Holy Land. So it's really special, you know, to see a sitting U.S. president go to the Western Wall to pray. I know how he must have felt when he went there, because I remember sticking my prayer request in the crack of that wall. You know, God answers prayer no matter where we are.
It's definitely moving, though.
But it's definitely moving when you're there.
There's something special there. I don't know, it's hard to put it into words or to,
really
maybe make a persuasive argument about it, because God does answer prayer, and he's omniscient and omnipresent, and he's everywhere and omnipotent as well. But there is something special about being at that place where the temple was set up, and where the glory of God had resided, and where prayer had been a point of contact in that place for millennia now.
That's exactly right. And, you know, earlier this week, you know, I don't know if it was planned or if it was just providential, but Gordon Robertson, the CEO of the Christian Broadcasting Network, which brings us the 700 Club, released a film on May the 23rd, which was also
Jerusalem Day.
Jerusalem Day. And the film was called In Our Hands, and it talks about the battle for Jerusalem, you know, being surrounded by 3 Arab nations. And the film came out on that Tuesday, May the 23rd, and all of this was going on. Jerusalem Day, you know, just, you know, such a connection.
And the president being there as well. Yeah, it's a 50th anniversary of the victory of the Six-Day War, when the Israeli army won the city of Jerusalem and reunified it under Jewish rule, and had that incredible battle against all odds to take the city of Jerusalem. I know that President Obama had visited Israel and went to the wall, I believe, but that was while he was a sitting senator prior to his first term in office. And I was really quite surprised that no U.S. president had been to Israel during their first term of office.
That's right. And I thought, you know, I went to do some fact checking, because I thought he went to the Western Wall as the president. But you're correct. President Trump is the first sitting president to visit the Western Wall, to go there and pray. And when then Senator Barack Obama went to the Western Wall, I remember the country releasing an apology to the president, to the then senator, because someone went in and pulled out his prayer request and wanted to know
what he was praying, what he asked for.
What he asked for.
Was that released publicly, do you know?
Oh, no, the prayer request wasn't released publicly, but there was, you know, some...
A bit of controversy.
Yeah, a little controversy about someone taking his prayer request out to see what he had prayed for. Those are very personal.
I mean, that wall is just full of prayer requests, thousands and thousands. How'd they find his?
I know, right? And that wall, and when those prayers, you know, when they take the prayers out, it goes through this ceremonial washing where the prayers are, you know, goes through a ceremonial bathing.
Yeah, and then they bury them, don't they?
And then they bury them, yeah. So those prayers are considered very precious. But we know, as we have said, there's no distance in prayer.
Nope.
So whether you're at the Western Wall or you're calling the LeSEA Broadcasting prayer line, God will respond.
And you don't have to write it down.
That's right.
You can just call the Lord up, and as the old song says, tell
him what you want.
Call him up, tell him what you want, and then listen to what he's got to say, because that's always good advice.
Isn't that the most important thing?
It really is, yeah. Listen, we want to connect with you today. You can join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, also live at LeSEA.com. Up next, author and CEO Gerald Duran. He's here with us live.
Got Facebook? Follow The Harvest Show.
Comment and share your opinions on current events.
See new after the show guest interviews.
Watch my updates and inspiration from Israel exclusively for Facebook.
Facebook.com/The Harvest Show. Like us today.
You know, it only takes $6 to feed one of these children for a whole month. That's why we're asking you to become part of Every Child, Every Day. These children have fled the horrors of war from South Sudan, but they're receiving a daily meal, and they're receiving not just food, but the hope of a brighter future. Whatever it is that you can do, we need your help today because the children keep coming out of South Sudan, and we need to feed them. We can't say to one, you can have lunch today, but sorry, no lunch for you.
LeSEA prayer line.
And thanks for joining us here on the set of Harvest. When Gerald Duran was told that successful people could not get into heaven, he concluded that the gospel was bad news for him. Today, the author is a Christian and the CEO of a string of faith-based business ventures. So take that. Welcome back to the Harvest Show. So you gave the enemy a black eye. You became a believer.
Right.
And God led you down a path that would lead to you owning your own faith-based businesses. Kind of take us back to what started all of this for you.
Well, you know, I came to understand that God had a plan and purpose for my life. And to me, success is identifying and fulfilling God's plan and purpose, which I think for most of us is a series of seasons and kingdom assignments. And so to me, that's what success is. Nothing more, nothing less. And but I loved it. And so what's happened is God has showed me how to build businesses, and we invest in companies, we turn around companies, and so I've just had an incredible journey.
And that's your journey. To be successful doesn't mean you've got to be a CEO or you've got to be in the business or enterprising, the world of enterprise. I mean, you grew up as a boy. You said yesterday when we had the great time together that you know, all the guys were out there playing with Hot Wheels and G.I. Joe, and you were, you know, playing The Apprentice on the desk in the room in the house, you know?
You know, it's so ironic because when God calls you to do something, it doesn't matter if society thinks you're qualified. Now, I'm a guy, I'm 56 years old. I've never gone to college a day in my life. But guess what I specialize in turning around? Colleges.
That's funny.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
That really is something. You know, I've heard different preachers say, you know, you only see my glory, you don't know my backstory, and you have a backstory.
Yeah.
So let's put this into context, because sometimes I think we look at people and we say, wow, they are successful, and we don't know what happened in the dark times. So you had a son to die at 10 years old.
Yep.
Your wife got breast cancer.
Yep.
And then another son was diagnosed with a disease that a third of the people in the world die from.
Yeah.
That sounds more like a Job story instead of a success story.
You know, 10 years ago, after an incredible season of everything we touched as a family turned to gold. I mean, we just couldn't do any wrong, and God was just blessing us and blessing us and blessing us. And I thought that's how life was going to be forever. I mean, we had challenges and all that, but it started with my son Alec, who was born with Down syndrome and heart problems. And at the time, when he was 10 years old, he was healthy, and one day he got sick, and a week later, we're staring at him, and after an hour of trying to revive him, he's dead.
Oh my gosh.
And so this season was slowly and then suddenly, and I would say over a period of about a year or two, I mean, we went from that death, we went, you know, my wife went through breast cancer, my other son Brandon getting something called SMA, which kills about a third of the people that have it, and my wife's healthy as can be, and my son Brandon's as healthy as can be, and so we had all this health stuff. Then I had two companies, one that I had just bought, and we went into a season where everything we tried, everything we did failed, and we lost both companies. We were at the peak of, you know, living in $1 million neighborhood. You know, we were great savers, we were investors, but when God takes you into a desert season, you cannot insulate yourself. You're going in. whether it's due to your own fault or just something God's going to take you into.
And you were down to your last $9.
We got down to $9. And, you know, about 2 weeks ago, I went and I found the journal that I was writing into. And, you know, we're down to $9 and we didn't know where food was going to come from. I mean, that's how bad it was. And, you know, thank God for people that write books and that tell about these desert seasons. And when I understood what a desert season does, and, you know, one of the things is I've always had a destiny. So when it's kind of like we're on a journey, we have a destiny, like we're going on vacation to a destination, and we got a flat tire in the desert. We weren't about to build our house there, but we were going to pitch a tent. What was interesting is we met desert dwellers. A lot of these desert dwellers had never had a vision or seen what's outside so this is poverty that we were in. And it changed, you know, we've always been generous givers, but what we gained through the desert season was a great empathy. And part of my thinking during that time was I stopped thinking big for a while, and I got down to just like, let's just survive. And that bothered me so much from somebody who's used to being a thriver. And so when we got out, and I made a promise to God, Lord, I know you're going to get us out of this thing because nothing can stop your plan and purpose for our life. And you didn't build me to be in this desert season. But we're going to take as many people from this desert as we can get, and we're breaking them out with us. And when we get further down the road and we get the financial resources again, we're taking 1,000 buses and we're going back to that desert and we're getting them out of there. And so since that time, and it was just like a light switch went off. The day we got out of the desert season, I got a call from a past client who says, Gerald, our company's in trouble. They had no idea I was down to $9. And within one day, we had so much extra cash, we didn't know what to do with it. It was an amazing thing when God snaps his finger and says, you're out, you're out. But there was a moment to get out when I had to start speaking to mountains in a way that I had never spoken before, and doing battle.
And it's like you needed that street credibility to talk about what you have written about in your project, His Plan, My Plan, Roadmap to Your Purpose, and you're helping desert dwellers and naysayers to come up out of the pit of poverty thinking or just fulfilling their purpose. You're trying to point them in that direction.
Yeah, no one wants to listen to the guy that everything's worked out. Nobody wants to listen to that guy. Because if you've just got out of prison but God has a plan and purpose for your life, and you get activated into that purpose, that person, when they see somebody else that didn't go to college or hasn't, you know, and gone through a tough time, it motivates them. And they're not bound by their circumstances. And one of the things that God showed me is that my future, where I'm going, isn't determined by my present circumstances. It's determined by God's plan and purpose for my life, by the size of my dreams and by my perception of what's possible. And, you know, one of my first mentors says, Gerald, you'll make your first million in your head before you ever make it in the bank account. And we had that thinking in the desert. I mean, I'd never want to go, you know, I tell people I tried broke. It sucks. I'm never going back. You know? But it does give you that credibility, because now people go, you know what? Now you know where I'm at.
So for someone today, Gerald, who's stuck, because that's what you're dealing with and talking about is getting unstuck. What are some of the first steps to making that change on the inside that leads to a change on the outside?
I think there's 3 revelations that I had that just totally changed my life. You know, it's interesting. Most believers believe that God has a plan and purpose for their life. Yet when I go speak and I do or if I look at any of the national stats, 70-80% can't tell you what it is. So it's kind of odd that God has this plan, purpose for each one of us, but nobody can tell you what it is. So the first thing is just to understand what God has a plan and purpose for my life. That's the first thing. And it's to prosper. It's not to fail. He didn't create losers. The second thing is he's bound by his word to tell us what it is. Now, maybe not the way that we want, you know, we're on a need-to-know basis. That's the way I've always looked at it. But the third thing, and this is powerful, There is no person, there is no circumstance, there is nothing that can stop God's plan except us if we decide not to participate in it. Those three things kept me strong and my family strong in our desert season.
Gerald, before I let you go, tell us quickly about your 2018 campaign to activate pastors and congregants and business people around the country to pursue that purpose. Tell us about that.
Well, in Milwaukee, we have something called CANA MKE, and it's an entrepreneurial accelerator. And so it's ministry in the marketplace. So we bring all these people in that are looking for success, and they get the gospel. They don't even know they've been to church, but they're in church. And so we're creating a tour across 15 cities across America. We're working with pastors right now, and we're planning these CANAs. So this tour, we're going to go activate people into their purpose. So we're not only going to see people get saved, we're going to see them into their purpose. And I really believe that we're going into this harvest season, and I really believe the church is going to be changed from a movement of people that have childlike faith. And when they read something in the Word, they believe it, unlike so many that live in silos and in a lot of our religious cultures that, you know, they've reduced down what God will do to us to nothing.
Wow, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Going to say amen to that. I feel like I've been to church and didn't even realize it. Those are very powerful principles. To connect with Gerald, go to geraldduran.com or go to harvest-tv.com for a link to his project called His Plan, My Plan. We'll be right back with Brian Bush.
We know you're working daily to make healthy choices for your life and the life of your loved ones. MHC Life is here to help you with those choices by offering supplements and materials that maximize your personal health and total well-being. This May, give the women in your life beauty from inside out. Our beauty pack will help her focus, sleep well, boost her heart health, and rejuvenate her skin. Order today for $49 and save $39 plus get free shipping. Visit mhclife.com or call 1-800-965-2345.
When Jesus gave his great commission to go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature, he was not just speaking to his disciples, he was speaking to you and me. Through the outreaches of LeSEA Broadcasting's television, shortwave radio, free Bible distribution, and prayer line, souls come to faith and are saved every day. As a financial partner with LeSEA Broadcasting, you too will be investing into the lives of men, women, and children as we proclaim God's word around the world together. LeSEA Broadcasting partners in faith make it possible for millions to hear the Word of God in over 190 countries. You can be a partner in faith with us for as little as a monthly gift of $25. Your gifts help LeSEA Broadcasting bring life, hope, and love into a dark world. Call 1-800-365-3732 and tell the prayer operator you want to be a partner in faith. That's 1-800-365-3732. Be a part of the Great Commission.
As noted, Brian Bush back with us today. And Brian, now that Israel has had a little time to process U.S. President Trump's visit, in general terms, what's the verdict?
Well, you know, Stephan, much of the debate cast the president in a very positive light, with some even saying that this is the most presidential he has ever been. Mr. Trump avoided any major blunders, apparently succeeded in pushing the leaders of Israel and the Palestinian territories on the peace process, all while never mentioning the two-state solution, settlements, or the moving of the U.S. Embassy. Stephan?
Well, Brian, during the Jerusalem Day celebrations, we heard many promises that Israel would continue to maintain its sovereignty over the Old City, the Western Wall, and the Temple Mount, including messages along those lines from Israel's Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. But that might be contrary to the plans that the president and the Arab world have for peace with Israel, correct?
You know, Stephan, that very well could be true. And speaking to that, it's been treated, or rather, I should say it's been leaked, that a plan is in the Prime Minister's office to rid Jerusalem's municipality from several of its Arab East Jerusalem neighborhoods. This would have three main effects. First of all, it makes a new border. Secondly, it decreases the Arab identity of Jerusalem. Thirdly, it means that the state could then revoke Israeli citizenship for those Arab residents of those neighborhoods. And in so doing, the state is arguing that it will save millions of shekels in social services that they would have offered to those people. Stefan?
Well, Brian, do you have any idea regarding how much of the discussions the leaders had concerning restarting the peace process?
Well, it seems they spoke a lot about it because one's got to remember that it's not just the decision to come to the table and talk together. It's the reality of, will the parties get what they want? There's a lot of homework that goes into these things. We do know from U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson that President Trump, quote, put a lot of pressure, unquote, on both Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu and Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to resume the peace talks and to make compromises. We also know that yesterday Mr. Netanyahu met with U.S. Envoy Representative Jason Greenblatt to continue the discussions from Mr. Trump's visit. Stefan?
Well, Brian, before we say goodbye today, let's take it down to a personal level. All of the celebration over the unification, the uniting of Jerusalem, you live right there. You've lived there for many years with your family, right in the heart of the old city. What are your thoughts or feelings regarding the unity of the state?
You know, there's lots of voices that are raised, but those of the people in the old city are often not heard. Think of it this way. Yesterday, the day before, when we had Jerusalem Day, literally tens of thousands of people came from all over to this city. Now, that's nice. However, many were right-wing nationalist settlers that are bussed in by the thousands from the West Bank. They don't live in Jerusalem. Their observance paralyzes the city with the thousands of security personnel that accompany them, that are placed upon the street to supposedly protect them, the extremists. In so doing, residents are made to stay within the homes and also close their businesses. And for them, it's a huge inconvenience, and it drives a wedge in the possibility of dialogue and coexistence and tolerance that the peoples of the city need to have. And when we don't have these celebrations and holidays, people of the city do get along, and that's often not reflected in the stories that we hear in the news. Stefan?
Thank you so much, Brian. Always appreciate your input and insights. A reminder that what you see here on the Harvest Show isn't all that Brian sends our way. We've got exclusive content from Israel, but it's only available on the Harvest Show Facebook page. So make sure you take a visit over there and like us on Facebook. We'll be right back in just a minute.
You've worked hard for your money. Now let it work for you for the rest of your life. If you qualify for a charitable gift annuity, you can get tax savings now and fixed income for life. You can do this for yourself or for someone else if you choose, while you provide significant support for changing lives through LeSEA Broadcasting or LeSEA Global Feed the Hungry. Here's how it works. First, you transfer a minimum of $10,000 from a low interest rate certificate of deposit or savings account. Or you may choose to use other assets, like appreciated securities. Using appreciated securities is especially beneficial because you can save on capital gains taxes. You'll receive a substantial income tax deduction immediately for that year, and then you'll receive a lifetime fixed income every year at a rate of return based on your age. Your age is an advantage because the older you are, the higher your rate will be, and rates tend to be much higher than ordinary savings accounts or CDs. Plus, even a portion of your annual return is tax-free. This probably sounds too good to be true, but charitable gift annuities have been around for over 150 years. Thousands of people use charitable gift annuities to create a legacy and supplement their financial future at the same time. It's a gift that pays you back. Sound complicated? It's not. We can walk you through the simple application over the telephone and finish the process in a few short steps. But to get started, you must contact us to see if you qualify. The details are personalized specifically for each individual. We'll ask a few brief questions and answer all your questions. Call 1-866-224-2087 or go to legacy.lesea.com. Call 1-866-224-2087 or go to legacy.lesea.com. Charitable gift annuities are truly the gift that gives back and the gift that keeps on giving. This information is for general purposes only. Please rely on a professional advisor for tax or legal advice.
There's another gift that keeps on giving. It's the gift of prayer. So if you need prayer, give us a call. That number is 1-800-365-3732. We have a number of volunteers who are waiting, standing by to pray with you and to receive your praise reports if you'd like to share them with us. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time on Harvest.
The Word of God has the power to transform broken lives, but only if we share it with those who don't know the good news. Each $5 you give will provide a Bible to one person. A gift of $5 provides one Bible, $25 sends 5, and a gift of $180 provides a case of 36 Bibles to those in need. Pray about your gift and then call 1-800-365-3732 to give today.
Do you long to visit the Holy Land but don't want to travel alone? On a LeSEA tour to Israel, you're not alone. Our team of professionals has more than 50 years' experience bringing Christians together in the fascinating land of the Bible. You and your new friends will worship together as you sail the Sea of Galilee, break bread in the Garden Tomb, and get baptized in the Jordan River, just like Jesus and the disciples did more than 2,000 years ago. What better way to experience the sights and sounds of ancient Jerusalem than with other believers from around the world? To join us for a life-changing trip to Israel, November 8th through 17th, 2017, go online to LeSEATours.com or call 1-800-685-3732. Tell the operator to send you a free information packet today, but seats are limited, so don't wait. Call now. Just one visit to the Holy Land and your faith will never be the same.
The Harvest Show is produced by LeSEA Broadcasting and is viewer supported by people just like you. Thank you for inviting us into your home today.